So on some X news that have just been breaking here, NVIDIA, this is huge. This is very powerful for the traditional finance. And this is also a big reason why in the last couple of hours, we have seen the crypto market respond very positively. As we know, the markets have been bleeding down, but this was a huge report for NVIDIA. They reported a $57 billion revenue this afternoon for their new earnings report, which is extremely higher than their expectation. Also, some interesting news. Just in, BlackRock files a new staked Ethereum trust in Delaware. And to go along with that BlackRock news, it's been a big day. The UAE State Fund, that's right, the country, UAE, their whole entire fund for the country, triples its stake inside of BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF. Now, as you know, we have seen continued outflows for the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. As we have a look here, the last 4 weeks have been to the downside, minus 799 million, then 1.2 billion, then 1.138 billion, and then already this week, 573 million. But some good news, today's inflows was positive of $53 million. So what we really want to see is some massive flows of volume coming back into those ETFs as well. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, well, there is a little bit of negative news as far as charting goes. Bitcoin's weekly super trend, that's an amazing indicator that you can use on all different time frames on TradingView, but it did just officially turn bearish, confirmed by the close below the 50-week moving average. This combo preceded a 77 to 84% drawdowns in prior cycles as sentiment hits extreme fear as well. So as we take a look back in 2018, the super trend cycle indicator, which actually triggered here, they're giving us an extra large gap. So it's kind of incorrect as far as this 83% drop, because the top to here, this is where it officially switched on as far as the super trend goes. You can see that the green super trend support line right here was officially broken, and then it continued down from there. And then we head over here, the super trend signal also flashing here when it broke below the 50-week exponential moving average, and it did continue down. And as we see right now, officially today, after the breakdown, which happened yesterday, will we have a second consecutive week to the downside, confirming this close to the downside? This right now, sell signal is active, but it can be reversed by flipping back to the upside. We can see here as well when we were rallying up green, flashing back to red, which did have an extreme drop all the way down below 4,000 and then rising back up, running green, flashed red, and then immediately flashed back green and then flashed back red again. So this confirmation is a very big deal, but it can recover itself rather quickly. We'll take a look at that in the charts here shortly. Major news coming out, job openings have decreased by 32% since ChatGPT's debut. So the fears of AI taking people's jobs, it is real. Like, a lot of people are trying to cover it up and act like it's not happening and so on and so forth. But job openings have decreased indeed. Entry-level roles in AI-exposed industries such as software, customer service, data entry have sharply declined. Younger workers 22 to 25 are bearing the brunt. So those younger workers were already upset about so many things, understandably, because the economy is crazy for the younger generation. Well, now they are even more upset. Breaking, U.S. consumer sentiment sinks to 50.3 in October, second lowest on record and below financial crisis and prior recession lows. By the way, I am sorry to kick off this video with so much negative news, but you're a genius for being here because you're involved in crypto early, but you also have to be in reality. I'm not going to sit here and tell you XRP is going to $1,000 by January. There's a lot of channels out there that you can go watch and do that, but we bring the real information for you, both positive and negative. US Debt Clock also comes out with an interesting post today talking about the economy, the scam economy, which was the federal banking cartel running and controlling everything, which was private money laundering syndicate that you were not part of, but they always charge you with the IRS. Well, the solution to this is the United States Treasury Sovereign Wealth Reserve, 100% reserve, unalienable asset trust. Will we be seeing the solution shortly? And also the 50 state credit union banks. What if you could borrow money from a bank instead of at 28% at some places, from 0 to 3%, your home mortgage, your car loan, your business loan, your credit card loan from 0 to 3%, I think that a lot more people would be taking risks as far as opening businesses. 80% interest savings. Obviously, pie in the sky, but it is fun to watch the US debt clock because a lot of the things they talk about would be revolutionary to the United States. Will any of those things ever happen? Now, on some positive news, the market is bleeding, as we know, but how about the miners? Well, the last 7 days show net accumulation of 777 Bitcoin. This transition from distribution, meaning they were selling a bunch of their crypto back towards accumulation at relative low prices, historically precedes stabilization phase. So do we potentially find ourselves in a bottom scenario for the short term? We're going to take a look at that when we get into the charts here shortly. Also, it'll be interesting to see how this affects the economy, but this is just breaking literally within the few minutes of starting to record and get ready for this video. But President Trump, we're going to do some political news here. He has just officially signed the release of the Epstein files and how it's already backfiring on the Democrats. Let's take a look. Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Justice Department, Trump's Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democratic politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times, Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, including Harvard, sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged, Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about the Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed, because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and Senate respectively. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of the passage at my discretion. The Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Don't forget the Biden. So we're going to see this could be an upheaval of the markets over the next couple of days. Obviously, these papers, the files won't be released for 30 days, so we should be safe for most of the rest of November, getting into early December. So is this going to be a Christmas present, or is Scrooge going to give us a bah humbug on the economy with this launching? So let's jump over here to take a look at why XRP could be at $1.55. And are you buying at those lows? XRP has now got a triangle pattern, a descending triangle to be specific, characterized by the flat support level and a downward sloping resistance line. Resolves when the price breaks below that flat support and falls by as much as the triangle's height.